Have you ever felt uncomfortable when someone gives you a compliment? Or maybe when a friend offers to help, your first instinct is to say, no, I'm fine, even when you're not. This isn't just about being humble or independent. For many of us, it's a deeply ingrained pattern that started a long time ago. It began when we were children, learning the unspoken rules of emotion before we even had words for them. Children don't learn through logic, they learn through survival. Imagine a small child reaching out for comfort. If that reach is met with rejection, anger, or just cold silence, their little body doesn't understand the parent's stress or their own emotional state. What it records is a simple, powerful message: danger. The lesson becomes hardwired. My needs are unsafe. Expressing what I want or feel leads to pain. Soon, that feeling of danger gets tangled up with shame. Maybe you were told directly, you're being too sensitive, or you're asking for too much. Or maybe it was more subtle, like a parent's sigh of exhaustion every time you needed something. You learned to shrink your emotional presence to take up less space. Expressing fear, sadness, or confusion started to feel embarrassing, something to be hidden or even punished. The child inside you came to a heartbreaking conclusion: if I need less, I'll be loved more. And so, a survival strategy was born. Silence. You stopped crying as much. You stopped asking for things. You stopped reaching out for a hug. Instead, you became a detective, constantly watching the adults around you for emotional cues. You've learned to read the room, to anticipate their moods, to figure out what they needed from you so you could be safe. The quieter you were, the more you disappeared, the safer you felt. Adults might have praised you for it. They called you so easy, so mature, so independent, but this wasn't true maturity. It was a coping mechanism. You weren't choosing independence. You were forced into it to survive. Over time, this emotional self-abandonment becomes your identity. You learn to show only the acceptable parts of yourself, the happy, capable, and helpful parts. Your true inner world, with all its messy feelings and unmet needs, stays hidden, sometimes even from yourself. You naturally fall into the role of the caregiver because it feels so much safer to give care than to receive it. The mask of the strong one is put on early, and you wear it for so long you forget it's even there. Then, adult life arrives, and it starts to expose the original wound. Suddenly, you're in a world where people want to connect, support, and love you, but you don't know how. A simple compliment feels awkward and undeserved. An offer of support feels suspicious. What do they want in return? True, genuine love can feel completely overwhelming, like something you haven't earned. You find yourself apologizing for having simple needs, like needing a moment to rest or asking for a favor. You wait until you're at a breaking point, completely falling apart, before you dare to ask for help. Because in your nervous system, being vulnerable feels exactly like being a burden. Your body is still living by the rules it learned in childhood. For your nervous system, need equals danger. Vulnerability equals exposure to attack. Asking for help equals certain rejection. And receiving anything feels like you're taking on a debt you'll have to repay. Your body literally flinches at the idea of care because, once upon a time, reaching for care brought you pain. This is where hyperindependence becomes your armor. Taking care of everyone and everything else feels completely natural. It's your comfort zone. But being taken care of, that feels threatening. You avoid leaning on people because, on a subconscious level, it feels like giving them power over you, the same power that once hurt you. This intense self-sufficiency isn't a sign of confidence. It's a fortress built to protect a wounded child. You can see these patterns play out in your relationships. You might find yourself repeatedly drawn to emotionally unavailable partners because their distance feels familiar and safe. You feel responsible for everyone else's emotions, constantly trying to manage their happiness while ignoring your own. You're always the one over-giving, over-listening, and over-supporting while receiving very little in return. You might even confuse chaos and drama with real connection, or believe that love is something you have to constantly earn through performance and sacrifice. All of these are echoes of the unmet child inside, still trying to get the love it never received. Even when you're suffering, your adult self is an expert at performing okay. You hide your pain to avoid being a burden to anyone. You minimize your own needs, constantly saying, "It's fine, I'm fine." You downplay your sadness. "Oh, it's not a big deal." You overfunction, staying busy and in control, to keep the difficult feelings at bay. Deep down, the fear of disappointing others is far greater than the fear of hurting yourself. But healing is possible, and it doesn't start with some grand, dramatic gesture. It begins when you allow yourself to have tiny needs without shame. It starts with accepting a small offer of help without immediately refusing. It's the moment you pause before automatically saying, "I'm fine," and consider what you actually feel. It's learning not to apologize for having needs, for being human. It's about noticing when that old feeling of guilt appears after you received something and consciously choosing to offer yourself compassion instead. This is how you begin to reparent the forgotten child inside you. Here's the key truth we need to understand. Receiving is a skill, not a moral judgment. It's something you can learn, but to learn it, you need to feel safe. To feel safe, you need to build trust, not just with others, but with yourself. And building that trust requires slowly and gently unlearning those old, outdated emotional rules that your nervous system is still following. The adult you are today must give the child inside you what the world never did: permission to be seen, to be held, and to be cared for without condition. So, I want to leave you with this. You were never wrong to need care. You were not difficult for having emotions. You were never ever unlovable. Were just unsupported. The good news is, you can learn to receive now. You deserve all the softness, all the care, and all the love that you were once taught to fear. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content on healing and self-discovery. Take care.